What's up, Coach Snacks? Today we're going to talk about some upper body pushing mechanics. We're going to talk about what an upper body push even is. We are going to look at some of the exercises that this correlates with, which is going to be today the push-up, the bench press, and the dumbbell bench. We're going to look at how to scale and progress and regress these exercises. We're going to look at what to avoid when you're performing these exercises because they may look very different. However, the mechanics are very similar. So now let's look at shoulder position. From the side, a good up and down torso. We see that our shoulder mechanics, my shoulder falls somewhere in the middle. I'm not all the way back. I'm not hunched over. We're in the middle. So this is so important because when we go to perform a push exercise, a lot of people are going to complain about a lot of pain in the front of their shoulders. However, if we spend time push to the front of our shoulders, that pain is not a question. It's very obvious where that comes from. So a quick test to look at shoulder position. We're going to grab a weight, get down into our floor press, and we're just going to take a second to kind of feel our shoulders and find where they are in space. Feel that you can create space behind there and below. We're going to work into a press, and we're going to kind of see where we're at. So notice that I can create a bunch of space. You may find that the space is already there, or I can take that away. Notice how my arm is not making a difference. All this action is coming from the shoulder. So when we press, it's important that we have a stable pushback shoulder. So today, when we go through a push-up, a bench press, a dumbbell press, etc., all of these movements, it's important to have your shoulder with proper mechanics, sitting in the proper spot to avoid injury and get the best results. Okay, so we're looking at a push-up, which is going to be one of our most basic upper body pushing exercises. We're going to look at how to scale it, how to avoid some of the common errors in technique, and I'm going to give you some demos of how to perform this. So when you're looking at a push-up, we really want to maintain a plank. Try to maintain a plank throughout the entire time and really generate the movement with our arms. So a quick demo of that. In plank position. You'll notice that my arms in relation to my chest are straight up and down. We're not here. We're not here. We're right here. I'm not overly wide. I'm not overly brought in. My hands right outside my shoulders. The importance of maintaining a plank, I think cannot be overstated here. It's always important to maintain good position, but it just helps build that strong core, strong foundation so that you can get stronger outside of that. First thing we're going to look at to avoid referencing that core is a sagging core. So I see this a lot, especially with people who have to pass a physical fitness test. So we're looking at a push-up, trying to go for time. Very efficient, however, not really working on strengthening our core and moving with the most efficiency that we could be if we were to do it correctly. So we want to maintain a nice tall torso throughout and push up. Another thing you'll see, especially with women who lack upper body strength, which is completely normal, but it does happen. We want to avoid hands out too far, almost performing what looks like just a head bob motion. So we're not getting any chest, any tricep, or any shoulder in that. It's really just a head bob up and down. Hence the importance of holding that plank the whole time to really get our chest doing the work. Lastly, we want to avoid, you can look at it from here, easiest way, I like to call it a T push-up. So my hands are going to come way out here, my elbows are going to get out here, and the movement would look like this. We want to be more pulled in, more close to the body. We want to reduce some of this length out here. We want to bring in, get close, and we want to push from here. Demo of that, your T would be out wide. Elbows flaring out. We don't want our elbows to flare. We want to bring it in. Try to maintain nice up and down forearms. throughout. So those are some of the things you want to look for in avoiding when you're doing your push-ups. Let's look at how to scale them. For one, if you're having wrist pain, wrist problems, since having discomfort and you just started implementing push-ups, you can look for some support. So we can get it in the form of these dumbbells. We want to hold a strong, stable wrist and perform our push-up from there. So that kind of takes the range of motion out of the equation. Let's look at some different positions in which we're going to scale our push-up in a different fashion. Okay, so we're looking at the easiest form of a push-up, or the most regressed version, if you would. We're looking at elevating our hands up higher than our feet, and that'll kind of offset our load and still allow us to work on our push-up. So if you may have a barbell rack in your gym, the barbell rack is my preferred method to do this. You will approach it and find the same hand width or grip width, if you would. Move our feet back, and we're going to do the push-up. So, same mechanics hold true. I'm working on maintaining that plank. I'm working on pulling the bar to my chest and pushing back, and I'm keeping a strong, stable core. And if you don't happen to have a barbell rack or this type of setup, we can easily do that on a wall. All right, so our wall push-up going to be pretty similar to an incline push-up on the barbell, just you may not have that barbell at your leisure. So we're looking at a wall. We're going to get in our same push-up position, come forward, push out. Push out. Notice all the things are the same, still maintaining my plank, still working on pulling and pushing. So between that and the barbell, hopefully you can find your level and maybe wherever you are and work on your push-ups to work them back down closer to the ground. So that was the easier version. Now if we're going to look at progressing that exercise, maybe the basic push-up is too easy for you. Let's look at some of the ways to do that. We raised our hands to make it easier. We're going to do the opposite, and now we're going to raise our feet to make it more challenging. So most people are probably going to have access to a bench. It's very simple. We're going to just get in our plank position with our feet up on the bench and perform our push-up. There's no limit to really how high you can put your feet here. Work your way up, by all means. Work your way up to do handstand push-ups if you would. It's just a little outside the scope of this video. That all being said, let's now look at the barbell bench press and how that kind of has similarities and differences to the push-up. So very similar mechanics to a push-up. It is an upper body push. We are just almost inverse, if you would. And we're looking at pressing an external load as opposed to just pushing our body weight. So a bench press is a very easy exercise to perform. That's why most people perform it. It puts on strength fairly quickly. It also kind of alleviates the need to be able to press your own body weight. So if a push-up is not a good choice for you, the bench press could be, because you don't have to support your body weight. You can work with much lighter loads. So basic barbell bench press mechanics are going to be just like our push-up. We want to always be pressed firmly into the ground. Get back. Our hand width is going to be the same, right outside of shoulders. Coming up. So some of the things to look at there are going to be hand width. The further you move your hands out, you are working a little more chest, and the closer you come in, you may hit a little more tricep. However, we would like to stay somewhere in the middle. That's probably where you're going to be the most powerful at. A strong stomach is still just as important here. We want to avoid the high arch in the back. So when you get in that press position and we're looking at a press, we want to avoid this high off the bench arch. There is a time and place for that, but in normal, regular, everyday training, probably not the time to do that. We also want to avoid coming up too high. So if I'm here, just like with our push-up, we're coming around here on our chest. We want to come there with our bar when we bench press. If we find ourselves coming too high, we're just going to hit a lot of the upper shoulders and we're going to kind of miss out on hitting that chest development. So the scale of this exercise really is just more so lower the load, or if you want to make it harder, simply raise the load. We can also look at doing it from different angles. So now we have an incline press, very similar to a flat bench press, just we have the angle slightly up. This just hits a little more of your shoulders. It's in this variation. Same principles apply. We're looking for roughly the same hand placement. Coming down to the same place on our chest. And pressing up. Mechanics-wise, very similar to a push-up, very similar to a flat bench press. We just raise the angle. So now let's look at a decline bench press. Okay, now just looking at a decline press, really similar once again to the other variations. We just lower in our angle, kind of hitting a different angle with the chest. That looks like. It's very similar to the rest of them. Notice how I'm lowering to the bottom of the chest and pressing up. Lowering down, pressing up. Looking at our dumbbell bench and dumbbell press variations, we have some things to consider that are different from just your push-up or your barbell bench press. Probably not going to be able to handle the load that you would be able to with the barbell when you're just performing the dumbbell bench, but you are kind of hitting some different muscles because you're having to control in space. So as opposed to where the bar, you have a fixed point to kind of control and center your attention. You have to manage the weight from going in and out. That kind of gives you a little added stability fun to that. Also, a big positive with the dumbbell bench is the ability to go neutral. So some barbells are going to have handles that allow you to press open-ended like this. Normally, you're not going to have that. What that does is kind of frees up some of the room in your shoulder, and for people who may have shoulder pain, you may see neutral press in your program, or somebody may have told you to try neutral press before. It just opens up some of that room and kind of gives you a press variation that you can handle, even though your shoulder may have some things going on with it. So let's look at a quick demo of a dumbbell bench press. So as the weight gets heavier, it's going to be more important to pick the weights up with proper form. Proper form is a nice flat back, using your legs to pick the weight up. Once we get the weight situated onto our legs, we want to use them to help us get the weight to our chest. So that looks like up to our knees, up to our chest. So, basic demo of a dumbbell bench press. Still maintaining that tight core, still maintaining that force pressed into the ground. We still want to avoid pressing with a high arch. That high arch is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a strong torso. So that was a basic dumbbell bench overview. We've performed these 3 exercises today to really look at the similarities, because I wanted to show how important it is to realize that they're almost the same thing. It's the very same movement. However, what we're doing with the movement is different. So with a push-up, we're controlling our own body weight and building body weight strength and the ability to move our own body through space. With our barbell bench, we're really working on kind of pressing the loads that we can push and getting that weight up. And it's probably the easiest way to build the strength when you're first beginning. Then we have our dumbbell bench. So our dumbbells kind of just bring in a good variation. They work on your shoulder health, keeping the weight stable, really help with that, and building a strong core. So the things to avoid in all of those are going to be the same, since how they're the same movement. We're still looking at keeping a long, strong torso, holding that plank position, keeping the work coming from your chest and your shoulders and your tricep, your pushers, instead of allowing the movement to degrade and getting the help from somewhere else. Hopefully, with the help of what to avoid and with proper demos of the exercises, you can get the most out of them. You stick to the tips that we said in the video, then you will see a lot of improvement in your upper body pushing and hopefully some decreased pain in the shoulder if you may be feeling that. Thanks for watching the video. Hit like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. And if you haven't, hit up csworkout.com for a personal touch to online training.